Yeah.
Mm, Very first one that we are looking here is SAP SD, sales and distribution. And then
Mhm.
why we need to learn SAP as a employees or as a student. I mean, why we want to learn SAP and why we want to choose only SAP, and then how is the job market in the industry. Then before we are choosing to SAP, then why
Mhm.
companies need to choose? I mean, we learn SAP, that means there should be some job opportunities in the market, right? So
Yeah.
when we get the
Mhm.
job opportunities, when the real business, I mean, real organizations choose to implement SAP, then only we could have more opportunities to get a job, right? Then why
Okay.
should the organizations choose SAP? So before talking about SAP, what is SAP? I mean, SAP is a part of ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Okay,
Mhm.
so apart from SAP in the ERP, there are there are other softwares also in a ERP. Those are we can
Mhm.
call Oracle or PeopleSoft or Salesforce, and we have other softwares under ERP. But still, we are preferring to ERP. Why? Why the companies are preferring to implement SAP under ERP? So initially, we could hear Tally also, but nowadays no
Mhm.
companies
Yes.
are using Tally. Still, they are
Yeah.
using, but very small and medium scale companies are
Yeah. My
using
my father
Tally.
is using the Tally ERP 9.0. So
Yeah,
he is a
yeah.
accountant.
So,
Yeah.
right. So still, small companies are using, but why they are using still Tally? Why they are not coming to SAP? We can also discuss on this one. So in
Okay.
sales and distribution, it handles all the sales processes. It includes inquiry, quotation, sales order, delivery, and invoice. So in SAP SD module,
Mhm.
we are more responsible on the sales process. Okay, then why companies to choose SAP to implement for their organization? So this SAP is an integrated system. That means it is tightly integrated with all the departments. I can say if you talk about the real business, see, let us take example your company as an example. So in your
Mhm.
company, you have a sales department that you are working, and you have a
Yeah.
material department, inventory department, right,
Yeah.
and the HR department and service department, customer care, right? All these departments are
Mhm.
there. What happens? Let us take one example. Suppose you got a sales order from one of your retailer, okay,
Mhm.
but your company never implemented SAP or any other software, and now what
Mhm.
happens? You are going to take the, if you talk about the real scenario, you are going to take an order through the phone call or maybe the email, right?
Mhm.
So these are the one of the ways that you can get this order from your customer. So you got the
Yeah.
order because of the demand. Because of the demand, you got many orders, okay,
Mhm.
from different customers from different locations from south and for the different materials, different products.
Mhm.
So there might be chances that you can forget one of the sale that you received from your customer, right? So
Mhm.
at the time of taking the sales order from the customer, that you could promise to customer, hey, yes, I got your sales order, then I'm going to deliver this particular material for this quantity on particular delivery date, right? So you are
Mhm.
going to do some commitment or maybe the promise that you're saying that I'm going to send this material to you on particular delivery date, right? So the customer can agree that one. So yeah, okay, fine. Then the customer would wait for the date, and but still you forget that order. Maybe there might be chances that you can forget. So what happens? Because of the demand, the day deliver date, you realize it, or maybe your calendar comes up and gives some indicator. Hey, today is a delivery date for this customer. And so you
Mhm.
realize that, oh, sorry, I forget this one to create the delivery. Then you go through the system, or maybe you go your process and to do delivery. But unfortunately, the stock is not available in the system
Okay.
because of demand,
Mhm.
Right. So what happens if stock is not available and you get more tense, or maybe you are in a critical situation because you got promised to the customer, and then what you do immediately, you bring up your phone or maybe the laptop, and you send a mail or call to the inventory department. Hey, I have this order, but unfortunately I forget to inform the responsible departments. Then I need the stock to deliver immediately. Right then, but the inventory team says that, hey, sorry for that. Unfortunately, we don't have the stock because of the demand. Right. So then what happens? Then you request them, uh, please produce a material immediately. Right? Because there is no stock available in our inventory. Then what we have to do? We have to produce the stock. Right. So the team says that, okay, fine, then I'll implement the same to the production department to start production, or maybe to get ready the finished goods immediately as soon as possible. Then the production guy will interact with the production department, and production department will start manufacturing, but still takes time to manufacture, and picking, packing, everything to get ready to deliver the material. Right? It takes some more time, but definitely it crosses your promised delivery date. At the same time, you need to request your customer maybe that you could take another customer requested delivery date based on your production and your inventory, right? So that is fine if the stock is production department supplies as soon as possible, and if customer accepts your order and all. But all these are mess up. This is loss, and this is problem for the business. Or some cases it should be escalated, right? So to overcome this type of scenarios, SAP come up with the SAP is tightly integrated with all the departments. Let us discuss now if
Yeah.
we implemented SAP. Suppose your company implemented SAP and you are working as a SAP SD consultant, or maybe the end user.
Okay.
Okay, so you are the SD
Mm-hmm.
consultant and you have an end user in your organization. Like end user got the sales order, like through the email or maybe through the phone, these ways. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the end user creates a sales order in SAP screen, and he creates a sales order and he saves the sales order. Then what happens? System automatically checks the availability of the stock at the time of before saving the sales order. Okay, before saving the sales order, system automatically check the stock from the inventory. If stock is available, the
Yeah.
system automatically gives a confirmed delivery date. So on that particular delivery date, system can deliver the material. Suppose if stock is not available because of the same demand, right? So what happens in that case? System automatically checks that if the inventory is not available, then how much time it will take to produce the material. So the same information will pass it to department, and the end user no need to communicate with the material management or the inventory warehouse department teams. No need to communicate manually. So system automatically gives an indicator, and it runs the MRP, and it checks that if stock inventory is not available in our plant for this particular sales order, particular stock, particular material, then please produce the material immediately. So the production team will be alert that they'll start the production. Suppose if the raw material is not available, let us say,
Mm-hmm.
produce the finished goods, we need raw material, right? So the raw material
Yeah.
is not available. In this case, what happens? So it come back to the material team again. Hey, raw material is not available. Then we need to get the raw material from the different vendors. Then the PR and POs will be generated and then send it to the particular vendors, and then vendors send the material. Then we receive the raw material in our stores. Okay, then the production team start production. So all these departments tightly integrated in SAP. We no need to communicate with each and every department manually. And if you even
Mm-hmm.
forget that to inform that, never mind, system automatically informs to all the departments. So that is why I can say SAP is tightly integrated with all the departments. So this is one of the one of the major reason that companies choose SAP to implement. Okay,
Mhm.
and then after common database. What is common database? So in SAP, we have a, let us take an example. We have a customers. In SAP, we have a, not in SAP, in a real business, we have a customer, we have a
Mhm.
materials, we have a vendors, right? These are all the master data, these are all the master data. Okay. So we
Mhm.
create all the master data centrally. That means in the central system, we will create it so that any department can utilize this master data. So that is why we can call it as a common database. So
Okay.
suppose creation of SD is a, so creation of customer is a responsibility of the SD consultant. We
Mhm.
create the customer in centrally. The same customer can be utilized in a customer service department, customer service module, CS module, after sales.
Mhm.
Okay, and the same customer can be utilized in HR department, and same customer could be utilized in a MM. And so, same wise, MM guys are the responsible to create the vendors. The same vendor can be utilized sometimes in a SD point of view. And the material is responsible for MM, but still we are using the material. So, while creating the sales order. So, what I'm saying here is any data that we store in that we create, that we do any transaction, any master data, that could be common database, and any department can be access that one. And the real-time operations, that I can say is like and from the business point of view, uh, all the real-time transactions, the management can see the reports, and they can forecast it for the next year or maybe the next month sales. So, and the
Mhm.
transactions that end users are doing in the system, that could be a real time, and they cannot be deleted. If they do any transaction or anything that cannot delete from the system, of course they can cancel it. So that SAP is more suggestible, so nothing can be hide here from the business.
Okay.
And next, support for all the applications. So SAP is support for all the applications and components. There are other softwares or other tools there are in the market. So SAP supports all the tools and all the um, components. I can give one example,
Mhm.
uh, like uh, in general, everyone is using the water purifier, right? So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
water purifier, every 6 months or 1 year or maybe the 3 months, we need a service.
But
The water
service
purifier
only.
need a service, but we generally forget to remember the exact 6 months date or maybe the 1 year date, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So in this case, what we do generally nowadays, the water purifier giving one alarm or maybe some indicator, red light, right? Do you observe anytime, Gaurav?
Mhm. No. Yeah. 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 Same.
Right? So we'll
Yeah.
get that alarm. That is called as
Mhm.
IoT. I mean, Internet of Things. So because of IoT, we will get that indicator or maybe some signal, something like that, so that we can
Mhm.
we can we can recognize that, hey, yeah, this needs service now. Then this IoT is a software. Then IoT can interact with the SAP software. Then when IoT raises an alarm, if we integrate
Mhm.
with the SAP, what happens is automatically creates a service order in SAP. So that service order, the technician can attend for the service order and they can visit your home and they do service. But you no need to uh, call the service technician and do all these necessary things. It will automatically interact and it will raise a sales order. So that is how, this is general example. So this is how it is interact with the other softwares also.
Okay.
And the common user interface across application and the component. So any user, suppose the company that your company that they're in and the Europe and the Germany, let us say. Okay, so any user, any employee can log in SAP system from India or maybe the Germany. So so both the users can have the same interface and same they can access same data and all. Right. So this is all. This is the why. These are the futures that organizations can choose SAP. So if the organizations choose SAP, that means they need employees to work on particular software, right? So if lakhs of organizations choose to implement SAP, then worldwide, then they need employees to work on the software so that there could be
Yeah.
chances to have the jobs. So that is why organizations choosing. Then that is why we are getting the jobs and we have more demand in SAP. And I can say we can, if you learn SAP, any module, SAP SDMM or any FI, any module, and we can directly retire in SAP module, SAP only. We no need to learn updated versions, or maybe we no need to learn go for this one and this one and there learn to all the updated software.
Okay.
So I'm going to next one. Who can learn SAP SD? That's okay, right? Organizations or companies are choosing SAP, and then the employment is there. So if you want to learn SAP, will it support our qualification and will it support our background and experience? That could be a next question for everyone.
Yeah.
As per my experience, as per my observation, any guy who has a minimum qualification of bachelor's degree in any stream, they can
Okay.
learn SAP, and they can get a job in SAP, any of the modules. So still, if you have a bachelor's degree, that is enough, and if you have an MBA, that is well and good. And if you have a sales experience, then that could be counted in a SAP SD job, because we have
Okay.
we
Do
have
we
a domain
require a minimum
experience.
experience in a sales to go through this SAP SD?
I could say no need of experience in domain, but if you have
Okay.
experience in domain, that is well and good.
Mhm.
And few
Okay.
companies are preferring, if you have a domain experience, I can explain you how it will be useful for you in a career,
Okay.
or how it will be
Mhm.
useful for an organization if they require you, if they hire you.
Okay.
There is a guy who don't have the domain experience and you are there with the domain experience, right? If both you guys are there in a implementation project or in any of the SAP projects, and if the client is
Mhm.
explaining about their business process, then as a domain experience guy, you can grab it easily and you can understand it easily from the client's business process, right?
Yeah.
So you can understand it very easily, and SAP, you can convert it to SAP. So that
Okay.
is the advantage if you have the domain experience. But nowadays, companies also preferring if the guys have the domain experience, and they're also mentioning clearly need minimum 1, 2, 3, 4 years of domain experience.
Mhm.
That could be an added advantage.
Okay.
Okay, definitely that could be an added advantage, and you can still keep in your resume. I have one
Mhm.
proudly can keep in your resume. I have a domain experience. That could
Okay.
be considered definitely.
Okay.
And next, going to the roadmap. See, every software, it has their own roadmap. I mean, it has their own way to implement the projects, right? Likewise, SAP also has their own implementation, their own roadmap that is called SAP methodology. SAP methodology means accelerator SAP. Okay, so this is a process that we are going to implement for a new project. So in this SAP roadmap, we have a different phases, that project preparation phase, business blueprint phase, realization, final preparation, go live, and support. So there are five
Mhm.
phases that in our training session that we could in depth we are discussing in depth. what we are going to do as a consultant in each of the phases, like as a consultant, from which phase we could be involved. Okay, that we are going to discuss in depth in our training
Okay.
session.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be helpful for you if suppose if you got recruited in one of the projects, then you got so you are in the implementation project, then you should know where you are. I mean, the senior consultant, what they are doing, what's your role, or else
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have the experience in SAP, then you will get in trouble. So that is why you should
Okay.
know what are the projects that we are handling in SAP, how many type of projects, and what is a roadmap, and what is our roles and responsibilities in a projects. Then after I'm going to show you the servers. So in SAP, we have a different servers. So in our training session, we are also going to discuss about all our servers arrangement. So we have a development server, quality server, and a production server. Who will work in a development server? Who will work in a quality server? Who will work in a production server? When the changes are available in development, when the changes are available in queue and the production. So what is our role as a consultant? Where we work and where we test, all I'm going to explain in detail explanation. I'll give it to you in our training session.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it from the PPT. And I
Mm-hmm.
have one more thing to show you.
Okay.
So so that I can give you this type of material and we can discuss in detail here, like what is a development server, what is a quality server, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
after who will work in the development server, who will work in a quality server, and what could if you recruited in a company, then from the first day onwards, what could be your roles and responsibilities, how you need to behave in the project,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Okay.
uh, so then all we are going to discuss, and in the implementation project, what are the roadmap. So in each and every step that I'm going to discuss with you, what you do as a consultant in the first phase, project preparation phase, who will involve, then what could be the sign off, I mean, who will assign the tickets to you if you are working in a
Okay.
support project,
Mm-hmm.
who will assign the tickets, and what type of tickets you will get, and how to resolve. There could be some process to resolve those tickets. So that there could be, sorry, some issues coming from your side.
Yeah, train is there. Yeah.
Okay, fine. So
Okay. Just hold on.
I
Just
can explain you. Sorry, Gaurav.
for that one. Just for 2 or 3
Okay,
minutes.
okay. May I go ahead?
Hey, you go ahead.
Okay, so I can explain you each and every step and each and every point. So this in detail I can explain here. See, what is the things that we are going to discuss in a project preparation phase in a real time. Okay, what happens in a real time, and business group in place, what are the documents that we are going to create in a business blueprint, who will involve in a business blueprint, how we need to behave in a business blueprint phase as a consultant. We need to behave as an experienced consultant, right? So because we are handling here like 10, 15, 20 years of business users, they have more knowledge in business point of view. We don't have that much knowledge, but still you have
Okay.
a domain experience. But still, if the guy has vice president sales, if you want to talk with the vice president sales, means we should show some write some knowledge or something, right? So how we need to behave with those type of guys, I can explain you each and every detail in a
Okay.
training session. Okay, then
Mm-hmm.
after, my training could be like, I'm more, this training session could be more interactive. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to mute your mic. You can ask
Okay.
questions at any time in the training
Mm-hmm.
session. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First I will take one chapter, I'll take one concept. Then
Mm-hmm.
after I'll explain on the concept in theoretical. Then I'll go back
Okay.
to a screen. and then I'll create those in SAP screen, and same you need to practice. Okay, and
Okay.
and
Okay.
and I'm not going to show you in a top, like, this is SAP standard and this is the one. I'm not going to show you. I'm directly creating my own enterprise structures. I'm going to create
Mm-hmm.
my own document types. It is completely like in a new implementation project. We will take some new real-time industry example from ITC, or maybe some your company, or maybe any of the company will take a real example.
Mm-hmm.
Based on that, will create our own enterprise structure, and then we'll create our own condition types, our own pricing procedures we will define, and the document types and deliveries and copy controls also will create our own, and then we'll do our own transactions, and I'll create our own master data. Everything is our own. It's completely like implementation project from the scratch,
Okay. Okay.
right? And then after I can give you this material so that this could
Mm-hmm.
be useful for you to practice for your interview purpose. Here we have a
Okay.
step-by-step process maintained here, like using this material after my class. You can go through here.
Mm-hmm.
You can go through. See here, I mentioned step by step here. You can go through this document, and
Okay.
you can create your own later after my session. Okay, you can
Okay.
create your
Okay.
own and you do your practice.
Okay.
Understood? Because you can forget. I mean, at the time of
Yeah.
I'm explaining you that you can learn it, but when you are practicing it, that might be chances that you can forget. But still you have a material with you so that you can remember and you can do practice with this material. That could be very helpful for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then after, I want to show you another thing. What are all the concepts that we are going to discuss in our training? So this is a course content that we are going to discuss here. It contains complete SAP SD module. Okay, and I can discuss with you, as I already mentioned, I can discuss with you about the different projects in our SAP, and I can
Mm-hmm.
give you the SAP access for your practice purpose, and also I
Okay.
can discuss about the client servers that we are having in. So as a landscape, I can discuss the servers, what are the servers, and SAP methodology, what is a roadmap for the SAP, and I can show you how to log in into SAP, and what is R by 3 architecture that SAP is using right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this all this are before entering into SAP screens. Okay, for
Okay.
your
Okay.
knowledge purpose. Then after
Mm-hmm.
we come into the enterprise structure, we take one real-time example from the company, and then we'll take those and we'll document out and we'll maintain one document. Then we'll come back to SAP screen and we will define our own enterprise structure. So if the company is ready, then we need the master data. So we create the master data like customer materials, condition master data, and customer material info record. And when you create all the master data in SAP, then after, suppose we have a infrastructure, company is ready, and we have a master data is ready, so we can do our sales transactions. Okay, sales transactions. But before going to sales transactions, as a SD consultant, we need to we need to define few things to create the master data. Okay, so that there are some settings that we need to perform in the background. So we are going to perform all the settings. Those are all we are going to create our own settings. Then we create our own master data, and we stock posting. We do posting stock. With the MSD and integration concept, we do posting stock in our plant. Then after,
Mm-hmm.
we will create and we'll check the sales transaction. So here, creating of sales order is not a big deal, but creating our own document types and item category schedule lines and the determinations, how to determine the item category schedule line, that is a main important thing, because every document type has their own controls, every item category has their own controls, every schedule line has their own controls. How we
Mm-hmm.
are going to define the document types, item categories, and the schedule lines for the different transactions, different sales processes, we are handling through the SAP, we will check that, and will check the copy controls that we are using here from transferring the data from sales to delivery and delivery to invoice. We are also creating our own copy control. Okay, then after coming to pricing, we are creating our own condition types, access sequence, pricing procedures, and master data we'll maintain. And also we'll create our own pricing procedure to determine the same in our sales orders. And we'll create our discount types and best prices, taxes, everything. Once we are good with the sales orders and pricing, then we go to the shipping. That means shipment, that is a sales order delivery point of view. Then we create our own delivery document types. Then how we do the PGI, what are the movement types that involve at the time of delivery. We'll see all this details, and we create our own. Next, once we are good with the delivery, the customers, then we are coming with the billing, and we create our own billing types, and also we are checking that SDFI integration, how the revenue accounts will determine, and we'll check all that. Then after this is a complete sales process here. Apart from this standard sales process, we have a different sales process, which is cash sales and rush orders. Those we use in a retail, you know. Retail stores. Directly customer comes into retail stores and he take the material and he pays immediately. So how it handles in SAP, so we check all this also, and the consignment stocks, and we see all this. Consignments happens in retail stores. I think you know about consignment. So companies dump the stock at the stores, and once the store sells the material, then only stores are paying back to company. Okay, this type of scenarios we could see in a SAP. And the contracts, and next we see the credit memo, debit memo, return orders. If the stock is got damaged, then how companies are returning to the how the customer return to the company. We see all this in our SAP. Then after we come into the advanced topics like revenue account determination. So here we are going to discuss about SDFI integrations, which is revenue account determination. After invoice, how the customer is going to pay, how the accounting entries are transferring to FI department, and how FI team is receive the money from the customer. We are also going to check, but in a real time, this is not the SD consultant responsibilities. That could be an FI consultant responsibility. So still we are checking those one also for our knowledge purpose. Right? Okay. We could see the goods and bill of material and material determination concepts like if customer is requested some material, so the same material, same company stock is not available, and then the retailer can sell the same material from the different company. Okay, this type of concepts is called material determination. We also look it here in this one, cross selling. Along with the main material, we are also selling the sub material. So that is the one concept here. And listing and exclusion. So if we are working in a pharmaceutical company, I can give you some example. There are some dangerous drugs that can sell it to only particular dealer who has authorization, who has a license for that drug. So we can list the customer and along with the material, so that whenever end user creating the sales order, then he can create the sales order and delivery for that particular customer only. If they are creating the sales order for the other customer for the same drug, system cannot allow them to create a sales order and a delivery. So we could see all these different type of scenarios, okay, in our ST training. So, and also we can see the taxes and output determination, like how the order confirmation printout will be displayed, how the invoice will be printed, we can check. And the credit management. So how the customer's credit limit exceeded not, and if the customer credit limit exceeded, then where we need to block the transaction. With the sales order level or maybe deliver level, where we need to block, we can check here in this concept. Okay, this is completely SD and FI integration concepts. In real time, we are not responsible to handle these scenarios, but only half of the part that we are handling. But still, we need to know about this one, because we are coming to SAP industry. Then we should have the knowledge on cross modules as well. So I can tell you about SLAs agreements, how the companies will be maintaining SLAs, and the stock transfers. Suppose if in your store stock is not available, customer requesting the stock, then how the stock you will get from the other storage locations, maybe other stores, right? So
Okay.
that type of scenarios also we can see in this one. This generally will transfer from plant to plant or store location to storage location. We can see this stock transfer scenarios also. There is
Okay.
also some third-party scenarios. Suppose customer requested one type of material because of the demand, or maybe you are not producing that material, then you are not going to lose the customer's order. What to do? You will give a purchase order to the third-party vendor, and then third-party vendor deliver the material to your customer, and then you will bill the customer. Okay. So you will add a profit
Okay.
margin on vendor invoice. Then after you will bill the customer. So you will collect the money, then you will pay to vendor. You means is an organization. So
Yeah.
this type of different scenarios that we are learning here in our training. So if the company is not interested to send the vendor send to customer, then what happens in the individual purchase order scenario? Company asks the material to send it to the company's premises from the vendor. Then company do their own packing, and then company will send the material to customer. So this is a different type of scenario. We also see here in a, so all these scenarios we can see in a real time, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right, Gaurav? Yes. So then
Yeah.
after we have other scenario also make to order scenario. So for this example, Gaurav, have you ever visited Royal Enfield bike maybe 4 years, 5 years back,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So that time what
In a
happens,
showroom.
if you
In a
want,
showroom.
yeah, in a showroom, if you want to
Yeah.
purchase a Royal Enfield bike,
Mm-hmm.
we need to book our order.
Yeah. In
We need to
advance.
pay some deposit, an advance,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to book the order, right? Then only company is going to start manufacturing against your order, right?
Okay. Okay.
That could be make to order scenario. This is a different scenario than the standard scenario.